All right. Well, hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are in the world. I want to thank you so much for joining me today. Chris Robinson here, and I am excited. It is Thursday, and I am back with you so we can continue talking about one of my favorite books, The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. And so we've been doing this for the past 11 weeks. And so this week, this is actually week number 11. We had 1 week off there, but week 11, we're going to be talking about the law of trade-offs today. And if you have not had the opportunity to go back and watch the other videos yet, I encourage you go back, watch those videos, and take a look at what we've been doing through the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. I believe that this is the best book on personal growth and development. So if you're trying to self-examine yourself, take a look at where you are and where you want to go, this book is definitely a phenomenal resource for you in order to help you get there. And so I love this book, and it's one of my books that I read each and every single year. So I want to continue on through this each and every single week until we get through all 15 laws, and then I'll get us started into one of John Maxwell's other books when we get going there. But as I take a look at the chat online here, if you could in the chat put for me where you're watching from, would love to hear from you watching from. And then also in the chat as you are watching this, hey, engage with me, interact with me, let me know that you're there and that you are watching. So I see Shay from the Philippines, I see Stacy, Isaiah, Saram, great to see you, great to have you on. Always great to be able to share and add a little bit of value here today. And so today we're going to be talking about the law of trade-offs, the law of trade-offs. And I love this law. I know. I say it each and every single week that I love this law. But the law of trade-offs says that you have to give up to go up. You have to give up to go up. Now, when I think about this law, I think about a moment in my life where I made one of the most pivotal trade-offs that I had ever made. You see, I was venturing off to be a full-time coach, speaker, and trainer, and was doing very well. And I had a client that I ended up losing. I ended up losing that client. They were about 80% of my income. And at that time, I had 3 small young kids and losing 80% of my income. Again, I was focused on getting out of debt and not saving. So on that day, when I lost that client, on that given day, I had $12 to my name on this planet. Now, on that day, I had a choice. There was a trade-off that I was going to have to make and that I was contemplating. Having 3 small kids at homes, the first thing that you think is, well, I have to go do what I have to go do in order to provide for these kids. And I remember sitting there in that driveway that day and thinking and reading and writing, and I had a choice to make a trade-off. The choice I was contemplating was, do I go and do something part-time overnight so I can go and work full-time in the day as a coach, speaker, and trainer? Do I just go and move some boxes at night? Nothing wrong with moving boxes at night or doing what I have to do at night in order to live throughout the day. But I wanted to live in integrity with who I said that I was and who I was becoming, and I had to make a choice. Do I give up 40-plus hours of my life to just get by, or do I give up 40 hours of my life in trade-off of becoming the person that's worthy of the money that I was going to be seeking part-time just to get by? That was a big trade-off that I had to make, and a big trade-off in a pivotal moment. And I made the trade-off that I wasn't going to go move boxes at night, that I was going to focus on working on myself as much as I possibly could so that I can make in 1 hour what I was attempting to make in a week. Well, that trade-off paid off, but you have to understand you have to give up to go up. I love what Eric Hoffer says inside the book here. He says that people will cling to an unsatisfactory way of life rather than change in order to get something better for the fear of getting something worse. Let me repeat that for you because you really need to get this. People will cling to an unsatisfactory way of life rather than change in order to get something better for fear of getting something worse. You see, that's the thing about trade-offs is when we trade something off, there is an opportunity to win, there is an opportunity to lose, there's an opportunity to stay the same. But what I do know is that if you don't make trade-offs, what's going to happen is everything is going to remain the same. You see, there's a truth about trade-off that John talks about in the book. He says that unsuccessful people make bad trade-offs, average people make few trade-offs, successful people make good trade-offs. Unsuccessful people make bad trade-offs. Average people make few trade-offs. Successful people make good trade-offs. Are you making good trade-offs? Think about something that you're going through your life right now today, where it's average and you've been willing to make that trade-off. Think about something where you have been successful in the past. Chances are it was because you were willing to trade something that you have today for something of greater value tomorrow. In the chat real quick, if you could, just type a simple yes. Have you made good trade-offs in your life? Have you made good trade-offs in your life? If you could, type that in the chat. I just want to see how many of you have been making successful trade-offs. If you have, just type yes in the chat. Let me see what I got when I take a look there. A couple people have made some good trade-offs in there. All right, good. All right, some of you have made some. All right, and so we want to make sure that we're making good trade-offs. You see, trade-offs force us to make difficult personal changes. The difference between where you are and where you're created to be is by the challenges and the changes that you're willing to make inside of your life. But the thing that you have to also understand about trade-offs is that the higher that you climb, the tougher the trade-offs are. You see, it was easy for me to make a trade-off when I had $12 in my pocket. As I live today, those trade-offs and the stakes are higher, and it becomes harder and harder. But what I have to understand is that in order for me to continue to grow, I'm still going to have to make trade-offs. You never stop growing in the area of trade-offs. So John Maxwell in the book, he talks about some trade-offs that he's willing to make. And I think when John laid these out, he really gave a great blueprint of what he's willing to sacrifice for more. I'm going to walk you through some of those sacrifices that he's willing to give up. And I want you to think about, have you made some of these sacrifices and or are you willing to make some of these sacrifices or trade-offs in life? The first one that he talks about is he says that I'm willing to give up financial security today for potential tomorrow. And he says that the reason that he does that is because he values opportunity over security. He values opportunity over security. And I love what Kevin Turner said in the book about it. It says that the only job security we have is our individual personal growth. I think about my kids right now and, they're getting ready. They're 15 years old and they're getting ready to begin to look at jobs and things that they want to do. And, what I'm trying to get them to realize or trying to get them to do is not look at making the income that they want to try to make right now. You see, dad's going to take good care of them and dad's going to make sure that they have all the essential stuff that they need. But as they're going into this job that they want in order to produce income, the question that I'm asking them is, does this job line up with where you want to go in the future? Does it line up with where you want to go in the future? You see, when you value the opportunity over financial security, what happens is you're building yourself. And so, for example, I have one child that wants to be an architect. Well, I said, well, what job are you looking to do part-time while you're in school? He's like, well, I'm thinking about going to go work at this ice cream place. I said, son, let me ask you a simple question. How does experience at the ice cream shop enable you to learn more, become an engineer? He says, well, it really doesn't. I said, so wouldn't it be better if you went to go volunteer or be an intern at a architecture firm for a couple hours a week versus ice cream? He says, but I wouldn't get paid. It would be an intern. I'd be doing it for free. And that's where we end up changing, or we end up trading for a little bit of money with experience that doesn't line up. And so I love what John says here is that I'm willing to give up financial security today for potential tomorrow. You see, interning at the architecture firm gives them the opportunity for tomorrow. Interning at the ice cream shop gives them the opportunity at the ice cream shop for tomorrow. Are what you trading your time for, does that line up with where you want to go? The second thing that John says that he's willing to give up is that I'm willing to give up immediate gratification for personal growth. I'm willing to give up immediate gratification for personal growth. Now, we live in a world where immediate gratification is the world that we live in. We want everything faster. Look, hey, I'm the first to tell you, look, I have an air fryer. I love an air fryer. And man, why do I love the air fryer? Because it just gets it done with a lot less effort and a lot less work in a lot faster time period than me going through the regular process of going to a grill, putting on a stove, whatever the case may be. But when we do that in life, oftentimes it doesn't work that way. John says when it comes to growth and success, immediate gratification almost is always the enemy of growth. I hope you catch that. When it comes to growth and success, immediate gratification is almost always the enemy of growth. You see, I once had my pastor say this. He said that what's built fast doesn't last. You see, what's built fast doesn't last. And so we want to make sure that we grow into what we're gaining. Otherwise, we lose it. The third thing that John says that he's willing to give up is that he's willing to give up the fast life for the good life. He's willing to give up the fast life for the good life. And in this, he talks about creating capacity for growth. And see, we have to have margin in our life. If we want to create capacity, we have to create margin. And he gives us a great blueprint for creating margin in our life if we want to get more done, have more time to work on ourselves, and develop ourselves. Here's some keys that you can do to get more margin in your life. The first thing you can do is delegate so you're working on what matters. Are you the type of person at your business or in your role as an employee that wants to do every single thing that comes your way? Every single project that comes up, oh, I want it, I want it. Every single new thing that comes in, hey, I want to do it. And what that does over time is it takes you away and you don't have margin because you're doing things just because they're available. But when you begin to delegate so that you can work on what matters, you're going to have more satisfaction. He says, do what you do best and drop the rest. Do what you do best and drop the rest. See, I'm in the process of doing that myself here inside of Maxwell Leadership. What I do best is love on people, connect with people, add value to people, communicate with people. But yet, in my role, I was doing a whole lot of other meetings. And see, what we're trying to do is scale that down so I can have more margin to do what I do best and drop the rest. So the third thing that you need to do is get control of your calendar. Get control of your calendar or other people will. You see, that has been a key for me throughout my career. One of the things that I have valued the most, one of the things that's had the greatest impact on me to be able to move and progress is having a great grasp on my calendar. I move in and out of the calendar like clockwork and I'm very efficient in the day. And when you can begin to grab hold of that, oh, you create capacity. He says also, do what you love because it'll give you energy. Do what you love because it'll give you energy. My friend Sherry Riley, she has a great book out. Sherry Riley, she's a great speaker, author, and coach. But she says, imagine if you could do the 10% of what you love in your job 100% of the time. Imagine if, come on, in the chat, think about this. In the chat, I want you to type, I would love that. If you could do 10% of the job that you love 100% of the time. Would you like that? If you would, type that in the chat, right? Yes, right? But when you love what you do, it'll give you energy. But the last thing he says for us to do, if we want to create capacity, is work with people you like so your energy won't be depleted. Work with people that you like so your energy won't be depleted. And I absolutely love working with the team that I work with and getting this opportunity because it's uplifting. And when you do this, you create capacity. But in order to give up the fast life for the good life, you have to create capacity. He says the next thing that he's willing to give up is that he's willing to give up security for significance. You see, and one of the things I've learned about spending time with John Maxwell is he said this, and it's always impacted me. He said this the first time that I actually went on a trip with him to Guatemala with about 150 coaches from around the world. We went to that country because we were invited there by the president to help that country transform their values by teaching good values in value-based roundtables. And I remember going on this experience, been inside the president's palace, wondering how in the world did I get here? And then John said these words to us after we were about to wrap up this trip. He says, what you all have experienced here, all of you that have gotten to the room, you've had success. And success is great, but success will never fulfill you. He says, what you've experienced this week in helping people and teaching people good values and helping them create values in their community, he says, what you're doing now is you're creating significance. And he said, once you taste significance, success will never taste the same again. And that has seared my heart and my soul. And I'm telling you, when John says that he's given up security for significance, I've seen him live this out, and I've had a privilege of being a part of it. There's something greater on the other side of success called significance. And I love this. It says that the great men and women of history were not great because of what they earned or what they owned, but rather for what they gave and accomplished in their lives. What are you accomplishing and what are you giving? Are you living a life of significance? The last thing that John said that he's willing to give up is that he's willing to give up addition for multiplication. He's willing to give up addition for multiplication. Now, this is one that I've had to do as well, too, where it goes like this. It says, instead of asking the question, what can I do for others? Ask the question, what can I do with others? Instead of going from me, you have to go to we. When you go from me to we can get a whole lot more done, impact a whole lot of more lives, and make a greater impact and difference and significance inside the world. But you have to be willing to partner, to be a part of something that's greater than you, to bring in other people, not thinking that you could do this all alone. John asked this question many years ago. He said, what would a leadership company look like? Now, Maxwell Leadership Organization is the largest leadership training company on the planet. We have over 51,000 coaches around the world. But John asked this question several years ago. He says, what if a leadership company did this every day? What if we strive to add value to leaders? Value partnership, share, not hoard resources and knowledge, not care who gets the credit, and we become a river and not a reservoir. And when he asked that question, and when he began to look at the organization that way, and when we begin to equip coaches all around the world, every single day, there's someone that's being impacted because of the tools, the resources that we've put in their hands. And now our reach, my reach, goes beyond me because of the people that we're empowering. John's reach is being expanded today, not because of what he's doing alone, but because of what I'm doing today. What the 51,000 coaches around the world are doing, the impact is much greater. Can you go from me to we? The law of trade-off says that you have to give up to go up. So examine your life today and ask yourself the question, what am I willing to give up so that I can go up? What trade-offs do I need to make in order to go from where I am to where I want to go? Am I going to be an average person that makes few trade-offs, or am I going to be a successful person that makes great trade-offs? I hope that you found that helpful here today. I hope that you got value out of it. I look forward to seeing you next week as I continue on in the 15 laws. And next week, we'll be talking about the law of curiosity, the law of curiosity. So I'm so excited to share that with you next week. I hope that you'll join me again. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.